Okay, class. So, um, our discussion today is the continuation of your topic here in networks. Is my audio okay, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, another method, class, in analyzing your circuits is this mesh currents. So, last time we have learned that mesh current is yung current sa, di ba yung mesh is yung closed loop or closed path na isang circuit. So, yung current na dumadaan dyan is what we call the mesh current. Okay? So, this method is used to solve current, obviously. So, in this type of method, we are applying KVL in each path. At paano ginagawa ito? So, the first step is to decide which paths will be the meshes. Ayan. Katulad ng nasa figure natin, how many mesh are there?
3, ma'am.
How many?
3.
3, ma'am.
There are three meshes or three closed path. But in this case, dalawa lang yung dinecide niya na gawing mesh, which is the mesh 1 and the mesh 2, as you can see here in the figure. So, dalawa lang yung gagamitin niya. Ito, oh. Mesh 1 and mesh 2. Now, after you determine your meshes or yung mesh na yung paths rather na gagawin mong mesh, okay? Take note, you decide kung ano doon. You will now assign a mesh current to each mesh. So, ano yung direction ng mesh current? So, it could be, class, you choose a clockwise direction or a counterclockwise. In mesh 1, what's the direction of our... What do you think? Ha?
Clockwise.
Okay, it is clockwise. Ito yung
Clockwise,
choice,
ma'am.
oh, yung I sub 1.
Clockwise.
Okay, etong I sub 1, this is your mesh current 1, which can you observe, clockwise siya. Okay? How about at mesh 2? What kind of, or what's the direction?
Clockwise ang gap, ma'am.
Counterclockwise, ma'am.
Still, it is clockwise. Okay, very good. Now, after assigning, okay, after assigning the direction, again, plus it's up to you pa rin ha, kung ano yung direction ng mesh current mo. After that, you will now apply KVL. Ano nga ulit yung statement ng KVL? Ano nga yun? What's KVL? Sum of the EMFs is equal to
Current.
what? Sum of EMF is equal to?
Sum of potential drop.
Okay, potential drops or our voltage drops. So, sum of EMFs is equal to sum of your IR drops or your potential drops. Now, let us here have an example para mas natin makita. So, yan lang yung yung steps. I-determine mo muna yung mesh and then assign the direction of the mesh current and then apply KVL in each take note, class, in each mesh. So, since you have two meshes, so ilan din equation yung makukuha mo?
Dalawa, ma'am.
Dalawa rin. Okay? Dalawa rin. Okay, so let us have here an example 20 here. If you can observe, the same lang yung circuit niya, no? Pero yung pinagkaiba lang is meron tayong values dito. Okay. So, in this example 20...
Ma'am, pa-accept daw yung iba, ma'am.
Ano?
Pa-accept daw yung iba, ma'am.
Pa-accept. Okay, going back. So, from this example, what are the unknown or ano yung pinapasolve sa atin? Find all mesh currents and voltage drops in the circuit. Ilan yung mesh current na ulit natin?
Dalawa, ma'am.
Dalawa. In this case, dalawa. So therefore, we will be solving for, in this case class, yung circuit is decided already na dalawa yung mesh. So dalawa rin yung mesh currents. So I sub 1, I sub 2. Okay? And the voltage drops. How many voltage drops ang meron tayo dito?
Ano, ma'am?
Ano? How many?
6, ma'am.
Voltage drop only. Voltage drop.
Tatlo, ma'am.
Okay, there
Tatlo.
are only
Tatlo, ma'am.
three voltage drops. And what are those? Ha?
4 ohm.
V sub 1,
V sub 2 ag V sub 3, ma'am.
V sub 2, and V sub 3.
V sub
Okay,
3.
so V sub 1, V sub 2, and V sub 3. Those are our voltage drops. So yan lang yung unknown sa atin. Take note, we are given the EMFs. Dalawa yung EMFs natin. V sub A and V sub B. We have 58 volts and 10 volts. Okay? Now, ano nga ang steps natin? Determine the mesh, determine the direction of the mesh current. So, ano na ngayon yung third step? We will apply KVL in each mesh. So, apply KVL at mesh 1. Okay, sa mesh 1 muna tayo. For the mesh 1, we are to follow class the direction of the current, as you can see here. So, ito muna tayo start kay V sub A. Okay? Or, let's just follow yung ano. Ano ba yung gusto nyo? Yung sum of EMFs equals sum of IRs, or yung ano, yung follow yung direction ng, or yung polarity. Kahit ano kasi doon class yung pwede natin gamitin. Ito muna yung gamitin natin. Ilan yung EMF sa mesh 1?
Isa, ma'am.
And what is that?
VA.
Okay, so VA. So yan lang. For the sum of the EMF, V sub A lang. Okay, how about for the sum of IR? Ano yung mga IR natin in this case? Voltage drop in our mesh 1. How many?
Dalawa, ma'am.
Ano? Ilan yung voltage drop natin?
Dalawa, ma'am.
Dalawa.
Dalawa, ma'am.
Okay, dalawa. Ano yon?
R1, R2.
V sub 2, ma'am.
Voltage drop?
Sub 1 at sub 2, ma'am.
V1 at V sub 2.
V1
V sub, ma'am.
and V sub 2. Okay? Pero class, take note. Ano yung ma-observe nyo sa V sub 2? Sa V sub 2, bali sa R sub 2 to, ito oh. Kung ma-observe nyo, merong pa ganitong current. Ito, pula na lang. Meron tayong pa ganitong current at meron tayong pa ganitong current. So that means na if that happens, okay, so your V sub 2 will have two currents here. Ayan o. So mamaya natin yan mamaya natin i-discuss. Okay. So, from here muna, ano muna yung isosolve natin? So, given yung V sub A, di ba? So, may value naman to. How about for the V sub 1? How are we going to solve for V sub 1? So, this is 58 volts. How are you going to solve for V sub 1 using Ohm's law? What's the formula? Eto, V sub 1. How are you going to solve this? What's the current flowing in it? Ha? Anong halos sa Ohm's law? V is I times R. Oh, how are you going to solve for V sub 1? Ha? How are you going to solve for V sub 1? Class? Class, hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, how can you solve for V sub 1 based in our diagram? Using Ohm's law, how are you going to solve it? V sub 1 or the voltage drop across R sub 1. So using this V sub 1, so the current flowing here is I sub 1 as you can see. And the resistance here is I sub R sub 1. So therefore, I1 R1. Can you follow?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how about for V sub 2? How are you going to solve for V sub 2? What will be for the V sub 2?
I sub 1.
I sub 1.
R2, ma'am.
Ice.
Okay, R sub 2. Now, how about etong isa? Kasi kasi diba class, yung mesh na mesh 1, ito, cover niya ito, this one, and this one, diba? Eh, sa part na to, etong sa DA na part, dalawa yung current na nag-flow, which is I sub 1, ito, tsaka I sub 2. Can you follow? So therefore, kailangan i-add din natin to kasi nakaka-apekto siya sa V sub 2. Can you follow? Now, what will be or what do you think will happen? What happens sa dalawang current pag ano ba yung nila? Status ng dalawang current, si I sub 1 at si I sub 2. Are they on the same direction or opposite direction?
Opposite direction, ma'am.
Opposite direction.
Okay, so they are on opposite direction. Now, what do you think will happen to their currents? Will it add or will it subtract?
Subtract, ma'am.
Subtract. Okay. Ano kaya yung explanation doon? Ganito yan, class. Halimbawa, nagmamotor ka, no? If you are riding on a motorcycle, tapos may nakasalubong ka na nakamotor din. So, yung direction mo, ikaw, papunta kang Kalibo, yung isa na yon na papuntang Katiklan. So, opposite direction kayo. Now, nung point na nagkasalubong kayo, what happened to your speed? Bumagal ba or lumakas? Bumagal ba or bumagal? Ha? Pag may makasalubong kayo na nagbabiyahe kayo, what happens to your speed?
Bumabagal, ma'am.
Okay, bumabagal. So, ganun din class sa current. Pag yung dalawang current magkasalubong, Kasi isang path lang sila eh, di ba? Yung path nila is DA, etong DA. So, isang path sila, pero dalawa yung current. Kasi sa isang mesh, yung isa pababa. Yung sa mesh 2, yung isa naman pataas. So, magkasalubong sila. So, what will happen is, babawas yung current nila, which results to your V sub 2. May follow? So, therefore, we will subtract here I sub 2, R sub 2. Can you follow, class? So, therefore, your equation here will be this one. I sub 1, R sub 1 plus, we can combine what? We can combine here I sub 1. Okay. We can combine R sub 1. We can factor out I sub 1. So, I sub 1, factor out. What will be left if you factor out I sub 1 here?
R1 plus R2, ma'am.
Okay, R1 plus R2. Okay. Minus what?
I2, R2, ma'am.
Okay, I2, R2. Okay? Now, do we have values of R sub 1, R sub 2? Yes, we have. Ano yung value ng R sub 1 natin? Ano R sub 1 natin?
4 ohms, ma'am.
4 ohms. So, I sub 1, 4. How about R sub 2?
3 ohms.
Okay,
3 ohms,
3
ma'am.
ohms, ma'am.
Okay, so minus I sub 2, R sub 2 is 3. Now, from here, class, okay, so meron tayong 2 unknowns in just one equation. Ano dito yung dalawang unknown natin? I sub 1 tsaka I sub 2, which is both unknown here. Kasi yan yung target natin eh. So, paano natin masosolve si I sub 1 tsaka si I sub 2? We need another equation. Okay? At saan natin kukunin yung isa pang equation? Ha?
Sa mesh
Saan?
2, ma'am.
Sa mesh 2. Okay, sa mesh 2. Okay. But first, let us express this equation, class, in terms of I sub 1. Pero you can express it also as I sub 2, ha? Or let's simplify this. It will become 58 lang. 58 equals 7 I sub 1 minus 3 I sub 2. So, pwedeng I sub 2, pwedeng I sub 1 yung ano mo, gusto mong isolve. It's up to you. Pwedeng kung ano naman. Let's have I sub 2 na lang. So, i-transpose ko siya sa kabila. It will become I sub 2, 7 I sub 1, and then minus 58 over 3. Nakuha niyo ba kung paano kinuha? Yung 3I sub 2, transpose sa kabilang side. And then, yung 58 naman, transpose sa kabilang side, sa right side. And then, I divided both sides by 3. Nakuha? Kung bakit naging ganito?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
let us name this as our equation 1. Equation 1 which is taken from our mesh 1. Okay. So, like we have said, para makuha na o makakuha tayo ng another equation, let us apply KVL at mesh 2. Okay, so ito naman tayo. Focus naman tayo dito. Ayan, ito naman. Okay, so ganito pa rin yung yung direction ng current, but let us apply yung summation of EMF and summation of IR. Now, ilan yung yung EMF natin dito? Ha?
10 volts,
Okay,
ma'am.
it's 10 volts. Okay, 10 volts. How about for our IR? Ano yung IR natin dito? Ano yung voltage drops?
B3, B2.
Okay,
V2.
V3 tsaka V2 lang. Okay? Pero si V sub 2, meron ulit siyang dalawang current. Diba? Yung katulad ng kanina. Ngayon, how are you going to solve for V sub 3? Based on the diagram. Using your Ohm's law, how are you going to solve for V sub 3?
I2, I3, ma'am.
I sub 2 and R3, ma'am.
I2 and R sub 3. Ito siya. I sub 2 yung nagfo-flow sa kanya at R sub 3. Ayan. How about kay V sub 2? Ito si V sub 2. So, the same. What will happen is, you'll have I2, R2. Okay, yan yung original. Pero sa kabila, ano sa kabila?
I sub 1, ma'am.
I1. I1 ano?
R2.
Okay, I1, R2. Ano yung sign?
Minus, ma'am.
Okay, it is still
Negative
minus.
minus.
Okay? Ayan. So, substituting your R sub 3. Ano R sub 3?
2 ohms.
Okay. I sub 2. R sub 2 is 3 ohms minus I sub 1. R sub 2 natin is 3 ohms ulit. Okay, can you see it now? We can combine what? What can we combine here?
I sub 2, ma'am.
Okay, I sub 2. So what will be the result?
I sub 2 times 2 plus 2, ay 2 plus 3 plus
Okay, 2
minus
plus 3,
I
or
sub
that
1
is
times 3.
5 I sub 2. Okay, 5 I sub 2 minus 3 I sub 1. Okay? Now, from here, class, pwede nating i-express ulit siya as I sub 2 or pwede ring I sub 1. So, it's up to you, class, ha? It's up to you how are you going to express it. So, let's just express it as I sub 2 para we can equate it later to equation 1. Ito. So, I'm expressing it to 10 minus, plus rather, 3 I sub 1 over 5 equals I sub 2. Nakuha kung paano siya naging ganyan? Bali, transpose ko muna si negative 3i to the left side. So, naging positive 3i. At 3, 1. I1 rather. And then, I divide both sides by 5. Nakuha?
Yes, ma'am.
Bakit naging ganyan?
Ma'am.
Nakuha naman? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this will be our equation 2. So if you can observe, class, we have 2 equations and we have 2 unknowns. Tama? 2 unknowns tayo, class. Ngayon, what we will do is we will eliminate one of the unknowns by equating. Or pwede rin, class, yung substitution na method. If you are familiar with that, I guess sa algebra yan na method in eliminating unknowns in the equation. So, equating equations 1 and equation 2. So, I will do this one. So, in this case, equation 1 is I sub 2. So, equate natin kay equation 2 na I sub 2 din. So, the value of I sub 2 sa equation 1 is 7 I sub 1 minus 58 over 3. Wait lang. Okay. And then, yung sa kabila naman, na I sub 2 is 10 plus 3 I sub 1 over 5. Okay? Can you see it now? O, ilan na lang yung unknown natin in this case? Ilan na lang unknown natin?
One, ma'am.
Isa na lang ay sub 1, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Okay, I sub 1 na lang. Ano? Wala? So, para ma-solve natin si I sub 1, we will cross-multiply. Okay? Cross-multiply. So, 5 times 7 I sub 1 minus 58 equals 3 I sub 1 minus 58. 3 times 10 plus 3 I sub 1. Class, kindly correct me ha if there's typo error. Kindly check kung may nagkamali akong sinulat. 10 plus 3 I sub 1. Tama ba? Kindly check ha yung mga sinubstitute natin. Baka may mali. Okay, so distribute our 5. So this will become 35 I sub 1 minus 5 times 58. Kindly calculate. How much?
290.
290 negative 290 equals 30 plus 9I sub 1. Tama ba? Kindly correct, kindly check. Okay na? Okay. Ngayon,
ma'am.
combine natin si I sub 1. So, 35 minus 9. Ito kasi si 9 I sub 1, it will be transposed to the left side. So, 35 minus 9, 26. So, 26 I sub 1. What will happen to the constants? 30 plus 290. Bali, ito plus 290 kasi maging positive to eh. Ayan. So, 30 plus 290. 320.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, how much is I sub 1? 160 over 30.
12.31, ma'am. 12.308, ma'am.
Okay. Tama ba yung natin, class? Yung mga sinubstitute? Okay naman? Sige. Later, let us check it kung tama. Okay, 12.308. Okay, so this is our I sub 1, by the way. This is already our unknown. Okay, so that's an answer. How about for I sub 2? How are you going to solve for I sub 2?
Substitute the I sub 1.
What equation?
Second equation.
Actually, any of the equation. Di ba dalawa yung equation natin dyan? We have equation 1 and equation 2. So, both of that can solve I sub 2. So, any,
Ma'am, accept daw yung iba, ma'am.
anong oras yun da? Alas 11 yun? Late yun sanda? Okay, so any of the equation. So, let's say we have used the I sub 1, the equation 1. So, I sub 2 is 7 times, I sub 1 is 12.308 minus 58 over 3. How much is this? $9.385. Kindly correct, kindly check. Class, kindly check. Tama ba?
Tama, ma'am.
Okay.
Tama, ma'am.
What if yung second equation naman yung gagamitin? For the second equation, we have I sub 2 is 10 plus 3 times I sub 1 is 12.308 over 5. Ten plus 3 times 12.308 over 5. 9.3848.
Lang, ma'am?
Ha?
Same lang.
Okay, same lang no, may ano lang, may slight difference sa decimal lang. Pero parehas din sila. So again, any of the equation ha. So that's already answer class. Any of these two solution. So this is the answer for I sub 1 and I sub 2. Again, these are mesh currents. Now, ano pa yung unknown natin? Our unknown is the voltage drops, the V sub 1, V sub 2, and V sub 3. Okay. Ngayon, let us solve for V sub 1. Can I erase this? Can you screenshot this? I will erase it now. Tapos na? Tapos
Yes, ma'am.
na? Class, i-erase ko na.
Tapos na, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am.
Okay, so dito muna tayo sa V sub 1. Ano nga ulit yung formula to solve for V sub 1 based on the figure? What will be the formula?
I sub 1, R1, ma'am.
Okay, I sub 1, R sub 1. Okay, ano nga ulit yung I sub 1 kanina? 12
12.308.
12.308 and our R sub 1 is 4 ohms. How much? $49.
230.
230. Oh, what's the unit? What's
Voltage.
the unit? Okay, volts. Hindi unit yung
Volt, ma'am.
voltage. It's volts. Okay? This is already answer for V sub 1. How about for V sub 2 class? What is the formula of V sub 2? Take note, V sub 2 has two currents involved in there. Ano nga ulit? How are you going to solve for V sub 2? Take note of the current.
I sub 1, R2, minus I sub 2,
R
R2,
sub
ma'am.
2. Okay. Or simply, I sub 1 minus I sub 2 times R sub 2. Nakuha? Ha? I sub 1 minus I sub
Yes,
2
ma'am.
times R sub 2. Okay. So, substituting, our I sub 1 is 12.308 308. I sub 2 is how much? 9 point, ano yun? 8. Ano to kanina? No, na-erase na. Ano ko to kanina? Ano kanina to kaso? 848. Ano kanina to oh?
9.385, ma'am.
3858. Ito, 385.
9.385 lang, ma'am.
Okay, 9.385. Okay, so minus 9.385 times your R sub 2 is 3 ohms. Okay, times space. How much? 12.308 minus 9.385 quantity and then multiply by 3. How much?
8.769.
Ano na yan? Minultiply mo na sa 3.
Oo, ma'am.
8 point. Ano?
8.769, ma'am.
Okay, 8.769 volts. How about for V sub 3? Tignan V sub 3 natin. V sub 3 is based on the diagram.
Raise up to R sub 3, ma'am.
Okay, I sub 2, R sub 3. I sub 2 natin kanina is 9.385. R sub 3 is 2. Okay, how much?
18.77, ma'am. Volts.
18?
Yes, ma'am. 18.77.
3 decimal, 77.
77 lang, ma'am.
7 lang, ma'am.
Dalawa lang? Ngayon lang?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's it. That's our solution for example 20. So you have there I sub 1, I sub 2. Take note class that I sub 1, I sub 2 are just mesh currents class ha. Hindi sila yung actual na branch current na sinasabi natin. Anong ulit yung branch current? Ha? Anong ulit yung branch current?
Current sa specific circuit, ma'am.
Current in what? Current where?
Sa specific branch.
On a specific branch or yung ano mismo, yung nagfo-flow mismo sa linya natin or in that branch. Eh etong mesh current, ano ba to? Current saan? Ha? Magkaparas ba yung mesh current sa branch current?
Bukod, ma'am.
O, ano yung mesh current?
The mesh current ay mas maintok. Ma'am.
Maintok?
Sa suod
Sa suwod,
branch.
yung mesh current class is yung sa path dito katulad nito sa mesh 2. So yung current na nagfo-flow dito sa mesh 2, dito, 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 dito is in this case 9.385. Dito naman, dito, dito hanggang dito 12.308. 'Di ba? Pero di ba sabi natin, sa in each branch, magkaiba. Kasi yung branch current, yung tinatawag, eto siya yan. Natin ha, i-differentiate natin. Let's use red. Ito. Yung branch current na tinatawag, ito, from the source, di ba may current na mag-flow? Ito yung direction niya. Ayan, ganyan. Pagdating niya dito, what will happen? It will divide. May pupunta dito, may pupunta doon. Tama? So magkaiba itong current na to dito. I sub 1, I sub 2, kunwari. Let's say ito yung I sub t. Okay? So ito, yung I sub t, ito yung current na nag-flow dito. Tapos yung I sub 2 naman, dito lang, sa branch na to. Yung I sub 1, dito, sa branch na to. Can you follow? Can you now differentiate? Kasi kanina, dalawa lang yung mesh, yung current natin, di ba? Mesh 1 tsaka mesh 2, which is buong ito, tsaka buong ito. Yung branch, yun doon mismo sa doon mismo sa circuit natin. Can you follow?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
How about in the process in getting the I sub 1 and I sub 2? Yung in applying KVL, any question? Any clarification? Any clarification? Huh?
Nine, ma'am.
How about in the voltage drops? Any clarification?
None, ma'am.
Wala? Are you sure? Are you sure, class? Because after this, you'll have an exercise.
Pwede another example, ma'am.
Ano?
Another example.
Okay, eto. Kita niyo ba? Kita niyo?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ayan, number 15. Wait lang. Okay, itong number 15. So, sa number 15, we have here how many meshes?
Two.
Two, ma'am.
Ilan?
Two, ma'am.
Okay, dalawa. Okay, sandali ha. Okay, yan na. Okay. So in this two mesh, we are to solve for all mesh currents. So therefore, ilan yung sinusolve natin? Ano lang yung sinusolve natin, by the way?
Mesh 1, mesh 2, ma'am.
Ano dyan? Dyan sa figure, ano yung sinusolve natin dyan?
I sub 1, ma'am. Saka I
I
sub
sub
2.
1, I sub 2.
Okay, it's the I sub 1 and the I sub 2.
I sub 1 at I sub 2, ma'am.
Okay. And how are we going to solve for that? Ano nga? All you have to do is apply KVL at mesh 1 and apply KVL at mesh 2. Can you follow? So, sa mesh 1, ano yung gagawin mo? Hindi i-follow mo lang yung ano natin, yung KVL, yung sum of the EMF is equal to your sum of your IR. Can you follow? Now, sa mesh 1, the question is, what are the EMF?
$85 volts.
85 volts or the V sub A. Okay? How about V sub B? Can't we include V sub B? Kasi nasa mesh 1 din siya, class. Ayan, oh. Ito yung mesh 1. So, covered siya. Right? Oh. What will happen?
Add, ma'am. Plus B.
Will it
Sub B,
add
ma'am.
or... Ha?
Subtract, ma'am.
Masubtract?
I-add, naka-flow na, ma'am. Naka-flow na tanda.
Okay, ganito yan. Ganito ha, para malaman nyo kung mag-a-add ba siya or hindi. Tingnan nyo yung direction ng current. Okay? Based sa mesh current natin. So, pag daan mo kay V sub A, ano yung nangyari sa V sub A? Is it voltage rise or voltage drop?
Voltage na.
Bakit voltage rise?
Positive yung dulo.
Okay. Okay, positive dito. Eh, pagdating kay V sub A, what happened?
Voltage drop.
Voltage drop.
So, therefore, ano sign ng V
Negative.
sub B?
Minus.
Minus V sub B.
Subtract.
Okay? Nakuha na?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Itay punta sa I sub R. Ay sa voltage drop. Ano yung voltage drop dyan sa mesh 1?
85 volts.
Ha?
Volts, ma'am.
Ano yung voltage drop dyan sa mesh 1? Sa mesh 1 ang tayo focus. Ano dyan yung voltage drop?
85 volts.
Ano?
VP, ma'am.
Pag sinabi natin voltage drop class, yan yung napupunta sa
V sub one.
resistor. So, pag may nakita kayong resistor, automatic, meron dyang voltage drop. So, ilan ba yung resistors dyan sa mesh 1?
Isa lang, ma'am.
Isa lang.
One, ma'am.
Okay? Which is R sub 1. So, pwede tayong pangalanan yung voltage drop kay R sub 1 as V sub 1. Okay? So, therefore, V sub 1. Meron ba bang iba?
No, ma'am.
Meron pa?
So, ma'am.
Wala na. Okay, wala na. Kasi isa lang eh. Ngayon, substitute na tayo ha. V sub A is 85. And then, yung V sub B mo is 45. How are you going to solve for V sub 1? Or the voltage drop at R sub 1? How are you going to solve it?
I sub 1, R sub 1, ma'am.
I sub 1, R sub 1. Okay. And what's the value of our R sub 1? By the way, 85 minus 45, how much?
40, ma'am.
40. How much is our R sub 1? 10? So
10.
this will be 10 I sub 1. Therefore, what's the value of your I sub 1?
4, ma'am. 4 amperes.
Okay, 4 amperes. And this is already our answer. Okay? So, nasolve na agad natin yung mesh current at mesh 1. Now, how are you going to solve for mesh 2 or the current 2? How are we going to solve it? We will apply KVL naman sa mesh 2, of course. Okay, sa mesh 2 naman tayo focus. Ito naman tayo. Okay. So, applying the KVL, sum of EMF is sum of IR. Ano yung EMF mo sa mesh 2?
VB.
45 volts.
45 volts.
Okay, V sub B lang. How about si V sub A?
No, ma'am.
Wala. Kasi hindi siya connected.
Wala, wala.
Oo, wala siya. Bakit positive yung V sub B? Kanina negative di ba? Negative kanina ba't ngayon positive siya?
Voltage rise, ma'am.
Okay. It's because
Voltage rise.
when the current flows in here, it is voltage rise, kaya positive siya. Okay? How about for our voltage drop? So, equal na to. How about the voltage drop?
V sub 2.
Okay,
V sub 2, ma'am.
let's name this as V sub 2. And how are you going to solve for V sub 2? By the way, V sub B is 45. How about to solve for V sub 2?
I to R2, I sub to R sub 2, ma'am.
R sub 2. 45, ayan. So, 45 is, R sub 2 is 5, I sub 2. Therefore, how much is I sub 2?
9.
9, ma'am.
Okay, it's 9
9, ma'am.
amperes. And that's it. That's the solution for number 15. Supposedly, this is your exercise. Kasi dito sa example 15, yung pinapahanap lang class is mesh currents. So, since dalawa lang, so I sub 1 tsaka I sub 2 lang. Pero dito sa example 16, ay sa exercise number 16, pati yung voltage drop, isa-solve ninyo. Okay? So, solve muna yung mesh current before voltage drop. So, kung mag-solve lang ng voltage drop, i-multiply mo lang yung current or yung mesh current na dumadaan sa resistor na yan. I-multiply mo lang sa value of resistance. Can you follow? Marunong? Ha?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Then, kindly screenshot this, this number 16. And you have 30 minutes to do that. Again, solve for mesh current and voltage drop. Ilan yung mesh current dyan? Kindly screenshot now. Ilan yung mesh current na sinusolve nyo?
Dalawa.
Okay. And then, how many voltage drop?
3, ma'am. At galit, ma'am.
1,
Apat, ma'am.
2,
Apat, ma'am.
5. Ay, 4.
4. Okay, it's 4. Okay? So, tignan nyo lang sa diagram kung ano yung current or mesh current na dumadaan sa kanila, and then just multiply it with the resistance. And remember, pag yung current sumasalubong, ano mangyayari?
Subtract. Subtract, ma'am.
Sasalubong sila tapos opposite direction. Subtract. Okay? Pero pag sila, same direction, plus. Okay? So, na-screenshot nyo na?
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? So, by the way, this discussion is live stream at YouTube class. So, pwede nyo siyang i-replay doon mamaya if you want. Okay? So, for now, I'll check your attendance.